The heat is on. Temperatures in the 90s. The Bay Area is warming up this week, but why it could come with some dangerous consequences. Also, bags of donations stacked in a peninsula garage.
And we would want someone to help us, and so we're just being good neighbors.
The community effort to help families who are still picking up the pieces after major flooding during our winter storms. And hearings begin in the case of the 3 men accused in the killing of little Jasper Wu. The testimony today. Also, a student athlete forced to make a quick change in her academic plans after learning that her college is shutting down.
I thought they were kidding, but it was just kind of like, well, what's next? Like, what do I do now?
Her advice to high school seniors who are now deciding where they'll head next.
This is CBS News Bay Area with Juliette Goodrich.
The heat is on, and after a winter of intense storms, we're bracing for quite the spring warm-up just this week. And it was a beautiful day today all around, but by midweek we could see inland temps creeping into the 90s. And while all this may be welcome news for those of us who crave all of this sunshine, the sudden warm-up could have some dangerous consequences as California's historic snowpack starts to melt. Experts warning these rivers running from the Sierra are dangerously cold, and they're flowing at speeds and levels not seen in years. Merced and Fresno counties even went as far as to shut down public access to rivers. And there's also concern that communities in the Tulare Lake Basin could face catastrophic flooding in the coming days and weeks. California emergency officials said today they've been planning for this and they are ready to respond.
Pre-positioned firefighters, personnel, understand who lives there. So how many shelter beds would we need if you have to evacuate people? Where can we put the laydowns for rocks or super sacks, or what are the areas that may be at risk where you may need a helicopter to get people out?
And in Monterey County, a milestone in the cleanup today for a community that is still trying to recover from the flooding. You know, it's been about 6 weeks since a levee breached and inundated the town of Pajaro. And today is the last day for phase 1 of the cleanup, which involved clearing out debris from flood-damaged areas and homes through curbside pickups. It will certainly be a long road to recovery, and 2 women on the peninsula are making sure the Pajaro flood victims are not forgotten. Our Max Darrow shows us their efforts to help grew into a community-wide project to replace lost items.
It's been almost 2 months since disaster struck in the small farming community of Pajaro, and people here are still trying to pick up the pieces. But as they do so, they're getting some help from some families on the peninsula.
This is excellent.
When Adelaide and I saw the news of the devastating flooding in Pajaro after a levee breach in March that uprooted people's lives in a matter of minutes.
The first thing, Max, was I said, someone should do something about this. And then the truth was, I reflected a little further and thought, why shouldn't it be me?
And that's why she's in this garage now with a new friend, Charisse Kreisberg, sorting through box after box and bag after bag of donations.
Basically what we did is we just became partners. And we would want someone to help us. And so we're just being good neighbors.
For the past month, they've been collecting food, clothing, medical and cleaning supplies, toys, and more from families throughout the peninsula to bring to Pajaro. And families have shown up.
I'm just amazed at just the generosity of this community. It's really very cool.
So far, they've brought 4 carloads worth of donations to Pajaro.
This is simply an example of how much people want to help.
After about a 55-mile drive, they arrive in Pajaro, and they unload the donations with the team at Casa de la Cultura, a nonprofit that served the farm workers and people of Pajaro since 1989, with Sister Rosa Dolores at the helm.
These are going directly to the community that needs it.
That means people who are navigating life after the disaster, like Sylvia. She was grateful for the generosity coming from people in the Bay Area. She and her little one left with a backpack, water, some food, and cleaning supplies. Even though the first phase of the official cleanup effort is coming to an end, Sister Rosa says there is a very long road ahead for many families.
You know, the disaster was so immense. So it's like a domino effect. There's still signs of streets that people are not there. People are still not working. Some are, but the looming thing that has been coming is rent assistance. The disaster for us is really not over. And keep us in mind and keep us in your prayers.
Nye and Kreisberg certainly will.
I'm glad to be able to help and do my part, so I'm happy to be here.
This won't be their last trip from the peninsula to Pajaro. They'll soon be back in the garage sorting through new bags and new boxes of donations.
My commitment was to drive 1 carload a month for a year. And I just believe in giving back. Yeah.
And based on her experience so far, her neighbors do too.
Water customers in Novato could soon see a 10% rate hike on their bills. The North Marin Water District gets most of its water from the Russian River, and the cost to purchase that water from Sonoma Water Agency is shooting up 12.5%.
We really can't absorb that kind of increase, more than doubling what we expected it to be.
Electricity's up, water's up, labor's up, so it just really kind of pinches the business operators in California.
Notices of the rate hike will start going out to residents this week. An official vote to finalize the increase will take place in mid-June. A 23-year-old man is dead and 4 other people hurt after a shooting in San Francisco's North Beach neighborhood. This happened at the corner of Columbus and Broadway near the Condor Club last night. The 4 other people injured in the shooting are expected to survive. They're all in their early 20s. No word on any suspects or a motive, but police say it was not a random attack. The 3 men accused of killing a Bay Area toddler in a freeway shooting in an Oakland courtroom today for their preliminary hearing. All 3 face murder charges for the killing of 2-year-old Jasper Wu. Now, the East Bay Times is reporting a CHP officer testified about responding to the scene on 880. Members of the Wu family were not in the courtroom today, but their attorneys spoke before the hearing got underway.
Right now, their focus is on moving this case forward and getting it done. And so I'm here for the duration of the preliminary hearing so that I can advise them when it's over what I think will happen as we move on to the next phase of the prosecution.
The preliminary hearing will continue tomorrow. Teachers in Oakland could be going on strike as early as May 1st. Today, members of the Oakland Education Association are wrapping up a vote on whether to authorize this strike. The union is expected to announce the results tomorrow, and we have reached out to OUSD and the teachers union for comment. No word back from the union. The district pointed us to their statement from last Thursday when they said they are committed to reaching an agreement. All right, some high school seniors, they are certainly facing a decision of a lifetime right now, where to go to college. But there is a growing trend in higher education that may make that choice even more difficult. We're talking about smaller private universities closing because of struggling enrollment. For example, Holy Names University in Oakland is closing next month. Now, Sean Chitness caught up with one student who was forced to transfer out. In fact, her warning now to incoming freshmen.
Caitlin Garrison's love of soccer brought her to Dominican University in San Rafael this year. She hopes to be on the team for as long as she can, but this was never part of Caitlin's plan for school or soccer.
I thought they were kidding, but it was just kind of like, well, what's next? Like, what do I do now? A little bit of panic, I guess.
Caitlin started as a student athlete at Holy Names University in Oakland, only to find out they were ending all sports programs last year. Then leaders announced the entire school would close this May.
It's been like an interesting transition, you know, like it was sudden.
Dominican University came to an agreement with Holy Names to allow students to transfer to their school. As Caitlin prepares to finish her first term here, she wants students to keep in mind the trouble they could face for pursuing a small private college like she did.
I think it's really important for them to research the university.
That's advice the school's president agrees with. Nicola Pitchford says you should be asking questions about the financial health of a college and look at the trend for enrollment. But she still wants families to see the value in colleges like Dominican University.
There's also a place for smaller institutions that are less well known that tend to do a really personal job of looking out that no student falls between the cracks.
Part of the struggle Holy Names University and other small private schools have faced in the past decade is a drop in the number of students looking to attend four-year schools. Dominican University's president says a traditional four-year education still holds value in helping young adults create their careers.
A degree can give you the skills not just to get a job, but then to invent your next job. and to make the argument for your next job.
And the appeal Caitlin saw in a small college has started to show up on her new campus.
It's just a sense of community, like it's the small class sizes, getting to know your professors, like it really is important.
But Caitlin says if she had to do it all over again, she'd stay at a junior college longer and avoid transferring schools a second time.
It's emotional, too, I just can't take the going back and forth.
College is supposed to be a new chapter in a student's life. Caitlin just doesn't want anyone to have to write that part of their story twice.
All right, an injury that could sideline a key player for the Kings game, the Kings for Game 5. Vern has the details. Also today was the last day to claim a $1 million winning lotto ticket, but it was bought at a local gas station. The question now, did anyone come forward in time?
Today's weather was definitely a winner, starting off the work week on a pleasant note, except maybe right along the coast where highs only reached the low 50s, but we are in for a big warm up from these numbers beginning already tomorrow. Details coming up in the First Alert forecast.